Welcome to the Rookie Hunter. This is episode 8, and it's part 2 of our gear spotlight. If you're joining us for the first time, you might want to jump back to episode 7 for part 1. It's been a great week for Kelly and I, and the podcast is growing really quickly. Initially, this was just an excuse for Kelly and I to get together, have a beer, talk about hunting each week. But the feedback, the responses, the downloads, it's all been pretty overwhelming actually. So before we get started, I'd just like to quickly say thank you very much for supporting the show. We can't thank you enough, and we really do appreciate it. So here we go. Sit back, relax, crack a cold beer, and enjoy part 2 of our gear episode. Here we are, it's episode 8. This is, I guess it's sort of part 2 of episode 7, but we're going to call it episode 8 anyways. So we put that up on Tuesday morning, and man, people really seem to be digging the gear episode, and lots of people, I think, maybe discovering the podcast for the first time because of the gear episode. So anyone that's new, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully you're digging it. And part of the gear episode, we saw downloads skyrocket this week, which is pretty cool. We ended up in we've kind of been bumping around in the top 5 podcasts for outdoors, which is pretty cool. So thanks to everybody that's been downloading the show. We also got a bunch of ratings and reviews, which we like to ask you guys for, because that's really what makes the difference for us in iTunes. So thank you very much to anybody that did that for us. I'm just going to read one quick email we got yesterday here. This is from, hold on a sec here, Mark Rubishad from Squamish. Just thought I'd give him a shout out and say hi and thanks for writing in. So he's at had a similar background as to what you and I are at, Kelly, but they started hunting, him and his buddy, at 35, so a couple of years after us, and same thing, kind of figuring out on their own. And he said their first 5 years were sort of a mixture of success and failure and lots of learning experience. So I think that's going to be the same for any rookie hunter, especially if you're going out and doing this on your own. And for us, that's been sort of part of the fun too. So we're only going into our second full season of hunting now. Hopefully we're going to be successful this year. We'll see what happens, but you never know, and that's what keeps things interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting how he broke the email into the first 5 years and the second 5 years.
Yeah.
And it sounded like it was night and day. So I'm kind of looking forward to that second half too.
For sure. Yeah, we've put the time in, so I think hopefully it's going to pay off for us this year. But one thing he mentioned was harvesting a moose with a canoe. So Mark, I'm kind of interested to hear more about that story. That sounds like a good one. And he went on to say that he's actually stopped buying meat from the grocery store. He's sort of self-sufficient with game meat, which is pretty cool, and that's a goal for Kelly and I as well. So good job. We rushed into the studio today because we wanted to get this second part of the gear episode up while people were into it. So we didn't get a chance to pick up a beer today, but Mark recommended Four Winds Brewery, which might be out of Squamish. I'm not sure, but he said hands down the best craft brewer in BC right now. So if you guys can find Four Winds Brewery, check it out. He said all their beers are good. So that'll be our pairing for today. We haven't tried it, but sounds like it's good. So one correction, I gotta find the guy's name, but a few episodes back, it might have been one of our first few when we talked about Cecil the Lion and all that kind of shit. I mentioned that I didn't think lion meat was edible, and I hooked up on this forum. It's an African hunting forum, and a guy heard the podcast and said that lion meat is indeed edible. So there you have it.
I think any meat's edible. Even
I guess
like
it is.
A marmot, you kill a gopher or whatever, but I guess it just depends how it tastes. Yeah, but they eat. I mean, you can eat cougar here, mountain lion, and I think it's decent.
I've never had it.
It's pretty good. I mean, it's not very common. You don't hear a ton of guys making a mountain lion sausage, but
no,
I'd be in to try it.
Try anything. Yeah. I can't find the guy's name, but whatever. Thanks for correcting me on that. Seems like I've only been corrected, Kelly. You haven't spewed out any bullshit yet. So somebody look for something wrong that Kelly said so we can correct him for once. But I guess I've only had a couple of corrections, so we're all right. But yeah, Kel, anything else you want to add before we get into finishing off our gear episode?
I can't think of anything.
No? Okay. Well, let's get right back into it. And if anything comes to mind here, we'll throw it in at the end of the podcast. So where are we at?
I think the last thing we discussed was the lens pen. So we're still kind of just finishing up the optics piece.
Right.
And the one aspect of optics that we didn't touch on was cameras.
Right.
And we've been talking about cameras a little bit, and in terms of the podcast and kind of where we want to take things from a media perspective, and maybe get some video, even just video for ourselves. And I have a DSLR, but I've never actually taken it on long hunts or anything like that, because it's a pretty heavy item. But I'm not sure if any listeners are aware of it's called Peak Design. They have a product that clips onto your backpack strap.
Cool.
And it's like a little clip, a holster, then you just clip it on there. But I don't know, even with that, it's easy access, but I'm thinking by the time you want to take your pack off and take a shot and do all that kind of stuff, it might be more of a burden than anything.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing, is like, it's a balancing act between, do you want to capture the hunt and sort of suffer to have this extra gear with you, or is it not worth it? But
it's a tough decision though, because like 99% of the time,
you don't see
or you aren't going to get anything. And then you wish you had all those pictures, and the pictures from a DSLR are just so far and above. But
yeah,
I think there are a lot of good smaller cameras available now, but they're not cheap either. I think I'd like to get a camcorder, so that we can do some filming.
Yeah. Was it the Wired to Hunt podcast that had
I think it was the Hunt Backcountry podcast.
It was Hunt Backcountry, and I think it was photo and video tips with John Abernathy or something. I'm just trying to find it right now. But if you're interested in doing some video stuff, check out that podcast. We'll put up a link to it on our website if you want to kind of get more detailed information, because that's what this guy does for a living. But we'll put that on our website, which is therookiehunter.com.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That
pretty much wraps up optics.
Cool.
The next point that I had on here was clothing. You want to just we've talked about clothing even in the first half of this when we were talking about the forum responses and everything like that.
Yeah, we did it in a previous episode as well, so you can go back to that. But merino wool keeps coming out.
Yeah, merino wool, base layer, key.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is an insulation layer.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I've been looking at and shopping around for lately.
Right.
And you have a couple options: down, synthetic, or there's like a new synthetic out, Patagonia Nano Air, and I think Kuiu has a 3D FX, and they're both pretty much the same material, but it allows you to wear it from the bottom of the mountain to the top of the mountain, and you don't have to stuff it in your pack while you're working hard and sweating, because it breathes very well, but it also has awesome insulation qualities. So check that technology out if you're looking. And as far as other clothing goes, I think, Mike, you're kind of in the market for a pack.
Yeah, I need a new pack, and I don't know if we talked about this on the last one already, but I'm still shopping around. I have no idea what the fuck I want to get. So it's such a hard thing, but I think what it comes down to is you need a dedicated pack for everything you want to do. So I'm just hoping to find something that I could do just for sort of backcountry trips that aren't related to hunting, and also I could use it for hunting as well. I don't think that's going to be an option, because I don't want to have be packing meat in the same backpack that I'm, traveling with my wife on the coast with. So I think I'm just going to have to get 2 packs at some point here. I don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I was looking at Osprey packs, but that was more so for some of the multi-day trips that I want to do. So as far as hunting packs go, I'm still on the fence. I don't know what I'm going to do, but we'll see.
Yeah, and I think I don't have any experience with Silent Predator, but they're basically 100% wool, pants, clothing, jacket, all that kind of stuff.
Nice.
It's super high quality stuff, I hear, but it's very expensive, and they'll tailor it to you and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know, for us in BC, it's not really the top of my list, but I'm thinking about the guys in Alberta and Manitoba, and kind of as you go east, right? They're probably already familiar with that company.
Right.
But if you got a bit of money to spend and you want some high quality wool gear, then check them out.
My recommendation to any new hunters or anybody who's interested in doing backcountry stuff is like, don't go out and try and get everything at once. Like, focus your savings on getting one nice piece of whatever at a time. Because if you're just buying a bunch of cheap shit, you're going to have to replace it all. It's not going to work the way you want it to when you're out there, and you have to be comfortable. You have to be warm. So you're not going to have it all, right away. So just focus on your essentials, which we sort of narrowed down to being footwear and that. So I don't know, take your time with it and get proper stuff. Don't just go and fill up on a bunch of garbage from fucking Walmart or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Buy it once.
Yeah, exactly.
And take your time. I guess as you're a rookie hunter, you might not have the greatest scope or the greatest binoculars or the clothes that are going to keep you the warmest for the most amount of time, but you kind of have to work around it. Like, you might have to walk a bit closer. You might have to call it quits maybe a little sooner in the season or whatever, but you kind of got to do what you got to do until you get your stuff, right?
There's a solution for every problem, so you'll find a way around it. But you find yourself 10 years down the road, you're probably gonna have everything you need and then a bunch of extra shit that's nice too. So
yeah, exactly. I've got a rifle on here, and in BC I just wanted to mention that we were kind of all shooting 30-06.
Yeah.
And there's a few different options, and it's really just personal preference from what we can tell. I mean, there's slight variations in velocities and ballistics and all that kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, I think you really just want a caliber that has a bunch of variety in the bullets that you can buy, and they're available. You don't want to buy something that has super expensive ammo and all this stuff when you're just getting started.
I think guys can get it carried. I'm not a gear guy in anything I do. And some people can get really carried away with what's best, but all that matters is what works for you. And if it's, whatever you're hunting, and as long as you're comfortable and you're think you're just confident with what you have, then that's all that really matters. So,
yeah. And Mike's using you have your dad's rifle. It's a wood stock. I have a synthetic stock with the stainless barrel.
Yeah.
So you'll run into options like the stainless barrel is a little more weather resistant, and the synthetic stock as well. But with the right care, I mean, you can't really beat a wood rifle for just to look at, right? It's almost a piece of art, like a guitar or something like that. Sure. So I'm always on the fence with, like, if I was to buy another rifle, I like both just as much. Yeah. It's the wood that draws me to the
I love
classic,
wood, man. And especially with mine being an older rifle, it's all worn and it looks pretty cool. So,
yeah.
But, yeah.
Just something to consider.
Preference. Yeah, for sure.
What else do we got here? Let's go back into a little bit of the actual survival type gear. We got sleeping bags.
Yeah.
I think mine's rated about -10-ish.
Yeah, mine I think is somewhere -7 or something like that. But
yeah, I think a lot of guys have a collection of sleeping bags, like 2 or 3.
Yeah,
which is optimal, but I mean that's going to cost you a bit of cash, and kind of getting one that's in the middle of the road there.
Yeah,
is pretty good. You can always buy an extra liner, put it inside, or you can wear your clothes inside too, right?
I don't remember when we did our big trip last year in the park, we got lucky with warmer weather. Do you remember what it got down to overnight though?
I don't remember actually.
Like maybe 5 degrees or something like that. Like I don't think it was that cold.
No, that was comfortable.
And I think the first night I was overdressed, but the second night I smartened up a little bit and was just pretty much in my ginch. It was pretty warm. Yeah.
Nice.
I was sleeping next to you too.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that.
I don't think I took it that far, but no, you actually know what I was wearing was just my merino wool, long underwear and shit like that. That's all I needed.
Yeah.
I was plenty warm.
Yeah. I wear that shit around the house half the time.
Yeah, I wear it all the time. I love it.
Yeah. But I actually went on a fishing trip last year. It was to a higher elevation lake. It was about 4,500 feet, and it was September. And during the day, it was super hot, awesome. And then we brought the tent up, and I didn't bring my sleeping pad. What was I using now? I can't really remember, but at the end of the day, I was close to the ground, and I ended up having to wake up at, I don't know, 3 or 4 in the morning, and I moved into the truck and I slept in there, which this is before that hunting trip we had. And that basically cued me to go buy a good sleeping pad.
Yeah.
And I did a bunch of research at that point. So I think your sleeping system is going to come down to 2 things. One, you got to have a good, decent sleeping bag. And the other thing is your sleeping pad is going to be that insulation, reflecting heat back to you while you're laying on it, and kind of keeping that cold away from your body too, right?
Yeah. The interesting thing is you're better off to have more stuff underneath you than on top of you, which seems backwards, but
exactly. And I learned that the hard way up there. So I bought a Big Agnes Q-Core. It's insulated, and I think it has an R value of like 5. Okay. So R value is how they rate the heat capabilities of those sleeping pads. So you kind of want to match your sleeping bag and your sleeping pad to the season that you're going to be using it in, and then those 2 things together, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Big Agnes one, it's got like 4-inch thickness around the side, so you don't fall off, but it's super comfy. It's about 1/3 to 1/2 heavier than a lot of these super light backpacking ones, but at the end of the day, you want to have a good sleep, so I kind of put more value on that.
Yeah, if there's something I'm willing to have a little bit extra weight for, it's that type of stuff, man, because I don't know. Comfort is number 1 for me.
Yeah.
You gotta have a good sleep.
And you can also buy those little roll-up sleeping pads.
Yeah.
I can't remember what they're called now. But you can put that below your actual sleeping pad. Or use it as a chair or whatever. Yeah. Oh yeah, you have one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a little thermarest thing.
Yeah. Any other input from a sleeping perspective?
No. Again, just make sure you're comfortable. That's about it.
I got this tip from Steve Rinella in his book, actually, but he uses this outdoor research backcountry organizer.
Yeah.
And I bought one as well, and that thing is awesome. It's just this little, it's about 9 by 6 or something like that. And it has you open it up and it's got a bunch of compartments in there. You can put your licenses and your lighters and a little bit of rope and pretty much everything in there. And it's somewhat waterproof.
Cool.
So I bought that in a size 2, and they're about $35, something like that. So I definitely recommend that. I just throw it in the top of my pack, and all my key important stuff is always in that one spot. It's not rolling around in the bottom of my pack. So that thing is small but useful.
Right.
I bought a jet boil lately.
Right.
So I think the jet boil, it used to be the jet boil Soul, and I think they stopped making those. But the new one's called, there's a new one called the Minimo, and it's a little more for 1 to 2 people rather than just one person.
Right.
So the bowl is a little bit wider, and I think it has a newer technology where you can actually simmer.
Cool.
Because they used to just be flash boiling, right? Yeah. So it's, I've been using it a little bit before the season here, and it's awesome.
I can't remember what mine is. I should have wrote it down, but it's just a really small, tiny one, and that's what we were using last year, and we were doing coffee and everything with it in the morning. And I'll find out what it is. I'll put up a link to it, but it's a nice little one. Just fits into a tiny little bag. And you bring your obviously your canisters for fuel, but yeah, super light. It weighs nothing pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it an MSR or something like that?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. I'll look up the exact. I'll put it up because it's yeah, they're kind of cool between the two that we have. That one's the one that I have is more of a one person type of deal, but
yeah,
totally functional.
Cool.
Yeah.
I guess I'm kind of bouncing around a little bit here, but a sill tarp is something that I'm looking at as well. Just like a small, lightweight tarp.
Cool.
Whether it just starts pouring, whether you need it for a tent, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think they're too much, but that's something that I'm looking into. Sawyer water filters.
Yeah.
Have I shown you the one I have?
You did, yeah, because I was I've been looking at getting a water filter for myself. I carry a life straw with me, which is great for, sort of emergency situations. You don't want to be, stopping and sucking on puddles every time you can. So what you have is more functional as far as like finding a water source and filling up your Camelbacks and everything that you have with you. So
yeah, it kind of acts like a middleman between a dirty bag and then whatever you want to put that water in. So it comes with a little dirty bag. You can fill it up with creek water or whatever you find. And then you just squeeze it through that filter. And the filter has little fiber straws or strands in it. And it apparently works really well. It doesn't pull viruses out, but I think that's mostly for folks that are going worldwide, right?
Maybe somebody that's listening can clarify this for us, but like the one thing I was wondering about is like beaver fever. If it's not rated for viruses, is it going to protect you from that? Because that's something we have to consider. If animals are pissing in the water sources that we're drinking out of, then we're kind of hooped.
Is beaver fever a scientific term, or is that a Fruitvale term?
It could just be from where we grew up. I got beaver fever as a kid and fucking almost died, apparently. I was pretty young when it happened. Yeah. And also, if you know the technical term for beaver fever, I have no idea. That's funny, man. I never thought about that. We just grew up calling it.
We grew up near Beaver Falls, so I always thought it was linked to that. I
always thought that too, but that's funny. I was looking at a filter as well from Mac. I'm going to be picking up some. I've got a few things I want to get from there, and it's a Katadyn Hiker Pro microfilter, and this one is kind of cool. It's all one unit and it's got like a pump system on it, like a hand pump, sort of like a bike pump. So you've got obviously one end with a tube on it and like a flotation device, so you can throw that into the water and keep it off of the ground basically, so it's not sucking up silt and shit off the bottom. And then it has a bunch of different fittings, so you can screw it onto like your actual water bottle, and there's another fitting so you can fill up your Camelback with it. So it's got some pretty cool features. That one's gonna run you, I think it's about $110 or something like that. So I'm checking that one out, but I think it's pretty lightweight. But between, I don't know, everybody's packs, I think we're going to be pretty well set up as far as being able to filter water. And I guess if you are afraid of beaver fever, you can just boil your water. But as far as like fresh streams and stuff like that, the running streams, I'm not too worried about that kind of water. It's just if we came across like a dirty swamp where you can tell lots of animals have been going there and it's just standing water, I probably wouldn't be drinking that unless I was really hurting. But boil it.
Yeah, that Sawyer filter is the mini version that I have.
Cool.
And I think you can also use it as a gravity feed, so you can hang that bag up in a tree.
Right.
Get maybe a bigger bag and then just let it flow gravity wise.
Nice.
To whatever you want when you're back at camp. And maybe it takes 10 or 15 minutes to get a big volume of water through there, but
right. I should clarify that MAC is Mountain Equipment Co-op, which is sort of like the Canadian equivalent of REI. They're all sort of co-op type places. So.
Yep.
Yeah. I love that place. And we have one opening in 2 days here in Kelowna, which is great.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll mention with that Sawyer water filter is that you shouldn't let it freeze at night.
Oh, okay.
Because those little fibers will crack and
expand if it freezes, I guess.
Yeah. So they say to just throw it in your sleeping bag.
Nice.
And then sleep with it, and then you're good to go.
Cool. Silence.
I was just thinking you could shorten this pause.
Yeah.
This will be the big pause of the podcast.
It's dramatic. What do we got, Cal?
I don't know. I think that's pretty much it. I mean, we can talk about tents, but I mean, we kind of use the tents that we have because we have them, and we haven't been able to invest a lot of, you know, I mean, I see all these TP tents with the titanium stoves that look amazing, but that at this point is a luxury item.
Yeah. We're not.
And I've seen pictures of bears destroying those things, and that would depress me.
That would fucking suck. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've both got the, the Tarn 3 tent, which is also from Mech.
Yeah.
You've got a newer version of it.
Well, I actually have the Mountain Hardware version.
Landon's got the.
Yeah, I think he has. But it's pretty much the same thing. It's like what is it, a 3-man?
Yeah, I think it's rated for 3, but
it
was you and I sleeping in that, and that was enough. Yeah. We still had to keep our bags and shit outside, I think, or I don't know, I can't remember. But it was good for the two of us. It's pretty romantic in there.
Yeah. I've heard some people say like everybody should carry a 1-man tent, because then if you get into a landscape where you don't have room to put a bigger tent, you're still good. You can spread out, but
I think we could always find a spot for
yeah, I think tent. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is like, once we start doing a bit more of like hiking into where we're going to set up camp, you and I can sort of split up the weight of the tent and, put some of it in your pack, some of it in mine. It won't be too bad. They're pretty light. So.
Yeah. Oh, what else can you think of? Any random stuff that you just wouldn't leave the house without?
I think we were able to cover quite a bit of it.
Yeah. I was
based
thinking
on all the suggestions and stuff that we got.
Yeah, I think so. I was thinking a couple garbage bags for field dressing.
Yeah.
It always comes in handy. And a little saw, whether it's on we were discussing the Leatherman before. I haven't bought a new Leatherman, but I want to make sure it has a little saw on it that you can use as a bone saw. Right?
Yeah, we made use of mine for our whitetail last year.
Yeah,
it had a little saw on it, and it's pretty sharp too.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, having a saw is a good point. We might have talked about this already if we have whatever, but chainsaw is a good thing to have in the truck. Or even just like I carry a handsaw in my bag sometimes, not always. I probably won't have it when I need it. Mm-hmm. But it was sort of a wake-up call from our trip last year because we got hit with that big storm. We already told that story as well. But it sort of just made me think that, especially in our area where we've got a lot of trees that they're standing now for almost 10 years after a forest fire, and one good storm will knock those right across, our access road. And the one that we were on was a one-way road. So you don't want to be trapped because of a log that's in your way. That would be shitty.
Mm-hmm.
You're just going to be sitting there waiting for someone else to show up with a chainsaw, I guess. But, yeah, and you see down trees all the time, and we heard them fall.
Right.
Yeah. But I'm just trying to think if there's anything else, really. Mitts is I'm going to switch from gloves to mitts this year for the colder
Me too.
days. I'm tired of having fucking cold hands. I don't know, man. Anything else you can think of?
No, I think we've covered quite a bit here.
Cool.
I think that's all the major items. So hopefully that helps folks out if they are looking for things that they need. But yeah.
You might want to, probably should have said this at the beginning of part 1, but have a pen and paper ready to go and take some notes on this. But I did, we've got the episode guide on our website with all the show notes and stuff on there. And I provided links to both forums that we got all the information from on the last podcast. So if you want to go through and see what the BC and Alberta hunting forums had to say, just go to our website and have a look there. We've got this website set up, and we want to invite people to sort of contribute. So if anybody wants to, if you're into writing about the outdoors and you want to showcase some of your stuff, we'll put it up there. Photography, even gear reviews. Like we've got pretty much a blank slate to work with, and we want to use it to sort of build up community. So anybody who wants to contribute something to the website, if you want us to put up your work, As long as we like it, we feel like it fits on there, we're happy to do it. We're not going to pay you, but we'll give you a platform to do it. We've also got a message board. So for each episode, we'll kind of put up a post there. It's more of a blog style thing, but it's open to comments. So if you guys want to make any corrections for any shit that I'm spewing out, Cal's got a good track record here, but put them on there. If you have questions, anything like that, you can go to our message board and do that. Anything else you want to add about the website? We've got a donate button. Cal and I are financing this thing. It's not overly expensive, but it does add up over time. And we do have big plans as far as wanting to get more video components and being able to record audio out in the field, which is going to be kind of cool to sit around a campfire and do exactly what we're doing right now, and sort of, relive the stories not long after they happen. So hopefully we can have something set up for the bear hunt. If we get something, it'd be cool to finish up all the necessary work and then talk about what happened while it's fresh, because
with the guitar and maybe Mike can sing.
I don't know about that. That'll be the last podcast episode ever. You can subscribe to us on iTunes or whatever you're listening on. All that stuff really helps keep the ratings and reviews coming. Just reach out to us. It's cool to hear from people. Send us emails and that. I'm sure we're going to have more exciting news as we continue to release these. Lots of stuff in the pipe. We got lots of ideas. So keep listening and we'll keep doing it. Bear hunt's coming up. We're probably going to go fishing this weekend.
Yep, for sure.
So we'll
went fishing last weekend.
Yeah, you
caught a bunch of kokanee.
You can fill us in on that. What lake were you on?
Wood Lake. So this is out towards Vernon, BC. But Wood Lake is actually a very good kokanee fishery in Canada. I think it's one of the last major ones. So, you can max out pretty quick, but they're good sized kokanee. I posted a picture on our Instagram account.
They're beautiful looking fish.
Yeah, and they're landlocked salmon, and they taste great.
Yeah.
You were saying that we might have a smoker in town at one point here, so that is like the fish to smoke.
Yeah.
So
they're tasty little bastards. Did you eat them or did you freeze them?
So we went out pretty early, and then we got back to the house, and it was brunch time. So we fried 2 of them up with some scrambled eggs.
Nice.
And Bree's grandpa used to make that for them, like growing up at Kootenai Lake. So we kind of did that. It brought back some memories.
That's cool.
And then the other 2 we ate the next day for dinner. So
nice.
They're a small fish, but for one person, just eat one of those. That's enough protein for one meal for sure.
Sometimes those little guys are the tastiest ones, man.
Yeah. It was a good time.
Cool. Well, let's head out there on Saturday. I think the weather's supposed to be bad, but maybe that'll get them moving out there.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can max out quick and get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, I'm kind of pumped to get more into the fishing side too, and kind of get that conversation going in the show as well, because there's so much to learn in fishing.
Yeah.
Like I just read the other day, if it's cloudy, use a dark lure. If it's sunny, use a bright one. So like there's just so many little details, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to try that theory next weekend. It's supposed to be cloudy, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I grew up fishing. I already talked about this too, but spent like most of my childhood fishing, and last 10 years I haven't done much because I've always felt like the Okanagan isn't the best fishing area, mainly because I grew up on the Columbia River, which is super easy to. It was literally my backyard where I could go fishing and hop in the boat right away and go up and catch fish, no problem.
Yeah.
And then we live on Okanagan Lake, which apparently guys fish, but
there's a lot of good big. I think there's a lot of big fish in there. It's just a matter of finding them. Right. That's the hard part. And there's lots of rainbow. I think kokanee's coming back, and there's burbot in there as well.
What the hell's that?
It's like a bottom, like you got a jig for them.
Oh, okay.
But apparently they're really good.
Really?
So I don't know. That'd be interesting. But yeah, as far as the Okanagan goes, that's kind of why I never really got into it. Like I knew Wood Lake is a kokanee fishery.
Right.
And that's something that anybody can do, and it's just a good time, right? But out at Okanagan Lake, if you don't have a big boat with downriggers and all this stuff, it's kind of tough.
For sure.
But the secret is all the lakes around Kelowna and around Kamloops. It's almost world renowned in terms of fly fishing.
Right.
So that's kind of what's...
We're definitely in the land of lakes, but as far as like a convenient spot to go, I guess Okanagan Lake is not the spot, but...
Yeah, which is too bad because it's so close, right? Yeah. I'm sure we can figure it out, but we might just need a bigger boat one day.
Yeah. There's also...
So a little 12-footer might capsize out there.
I think we'll be okay, but
yeah,
I guess we'll find out.
It's about how fast you can get off the lake, not how fast you can get on it, right?
For sure.
Need a good outboard on there.
Yeah. Yeah, the electric motor might be a little sketchy.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think we can probably wrap this up. This is a shorter one, but I think to do it in one full episode, that would have been a long one. Plus, we ran out of time anyways last week. So
yeah, it's kind of like a episode 1.5.
Yeah, for sure. 7.5. Here we go.
Yeah.
Well, any closing remarks, Gal?
No, I'm just looking forward to the weekend fishing.
Yeah, me too.
I'd suggest our listeners get out there too. Spring's seems to be coming around the corner pretty quick in the Okanagan anyway. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping that everybody else is kind of having the same experience and everybody's getting outside. And
hopefully, it's been it's mid-April basically, and we've been in the like high 20s, 30s.
It's like it's 30 right now outside.
Yeah, it's ridiculous,
crazy.
Yeah, so we're lucky, which is good news for the bear hunt. And you know what? I'm going to make an oath right now to stop talking about the fucking bear hunt until we actually go and do it.
Deal.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks a lot, guys. Please keep the reviews and comments and emails and all that shit coming. We're having a lot of fun with this, and we're excited to see where it goes. So happy hunting.
Cheers.
Cheers.